Okay, in this video, we're going to be talking about estimating crowds. Now, just to kind of get yourself, get your mind wrapped around where we're going with this. Basically, here's a picture of a crowd. And so there's a lot of people in this crowd. In fact, it'll probably be too many to number. And so what we're going to do is we're going to estimate everybody that is in this crowd. And we're going to use some basic mathematical principles in order to get a best guesstimate on this. All right, so again, when we talk about estimating crowds, I need you to think about a whole bunch of people in a big space. All right, so I'm going to kind of jump around this worksheet that we were given so we can get through this as quickly as possible. All right, so here we go, just a couple of things. On average, there should be 10 people in your square. Now, in fact, since don't even worry about 10 people in your square. All right, so here we go. This is what we're going to focus on. So 10 people, the square is 10 square feet. All right, so mathematically, what we're going to do is we're going to create a relationship. All right, we're going to create a relationship. And so the relationship is going to be people, it's going to be people over space. All right, so it's people over space. So this very first thing I highlighted, it said 10 people, 25 square feet. So I would create a fraction 10 over 25. Okay, so this would be the relationship, 10 people over 25 square feet. So using this information, how many students can fit in a room that is 20 to 30 square feet or 20 to 30 feet? So what I'm also going to make is a proportion. All right, so I'm going to make a proportion that represents the relationship between people and space. All right, so it says using this information. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the 10 over 25. All right, now technically, yes, you could use this right here, but since I went ahead and did 10 over 25, then this isn't needed. So 10 over 25, remember, it's a people over space. So people over space is equal to how many people x over 20 by 30. So that would be 600. All right, so from here, it's a proportion that you would solve by cross multiply. So when I cross multiply, I'm going to do this in another color. It would be 25x is equal to 6,000. And then you would divide by 25. And so when you do the math, you would get, let's see, I don't have my calculator with me. You would get a grand total of 240 people. All right, so that would be our estimate. So if 10 people can fit in a 25 square foot space, then we can guesstimate and say 240 people would fit in a space that's 20 by 30. All right, so I'm going to, again, skip around here. And I'm going to go ahead and do this right here. So same situation. You can fit 20 people in a 5 by 5 foot square. So again, this is going to be a people over space situation. So 20 people over 25 square feet, because 5 times 5 is 25, is equal to x over 250,000 square feet. Again, cross multiply, and you would get 25x is equal to, let's say, I believe this is going to be maybe 5 million. All right, you would divide by 25. And so in this big old space, I mean, now this 500 by 500 space, it is huge. I mean, we're talking about almost like 2 to 3 football fields big. All right, it's huge. All right, you would get x is equal to 200,000 people. That's in this space. Huge space. All right, now the next question is the same but a little different. Now, if you notice in this first part, it says you can fit 20 people in a 5 by 5 foot square. Now here it says using a 5 by 5 foot square. It doesn't say anything about how many people can fit in this square. All right, so what we have here is a situation where we're going to have to estimate what we're doing. Because here it's more of, I mean, I guess you can make an argument that yes, 200,000 people is an estimate, but this is a more refined estimate because we were given 20 people can fit. All right, so if we're not given any if we're not given any information regarding who can fit in that square, so we are going to use still the people over space, but now it's going to be E over 25. So now it's E over 25. Now E means we don't know how many people can fit in the square. So E over 25 is equal to X over, again, 250,000. We're going to cross multiply, and so we're going to get 25X is equal to 250,000. Now this is where it changes. We're going to attach the E to it. All right, we're going to attach the E to it. All right, now we're going to divide by 25, and when we do that, we get X is equal to 10,000 E. All right, so this would be our answer. Now you might be saying, what is the E there for? Why is there an E? Well, let's answer one more and I'll explain a little more about that. So it says using, all right, so it's the same exact question except different numbers, using a 10 by 10 foot square to estimate. Again, notice it didn't say anything about 20 people, 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. All we know is that it's a 10 by 10 foot square. So people over space, it's going to be E over 100 is equal to X over 210,000. Cross multiply, and you get 100X is equal to 210,000 E. Again, we're solving for X. We're going to divide by 100, and you get X is equal to 2100 E. Now, pretty simple, pretty easy. Let's explain the E. All right, so let's say this is our answer, okay? But let's say the next day we had information where it was like, okay, now we can fit 50 people in the 10 by 10 foot square. All right, so now if you notice up here, we didn't know how many people could fit into the square, which meant our answer was kind of incomplete. 2100E. The E is kind of like incomplete. But now we know that 50 people can fit in the square. So now we are given more a direct estimate. So very simply, what you're going to do is you're going to take 50 people and you're going to plug it in for E. So 2100 times 50, and I just made 50 off the top of my head, nothing special about 50. So that means in this field here, if I knew that 50 people could fit in my square, I would now have a more precise estimate, and it would be 105,000 people. There you go. All right, so pretty simple. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is a parade. Now, before we dive into a parade question, let me even break this down even simpler. There's my picture. All right, here we go. So, if we have a parade, there's a bunch of people walking by, and we have to put a number on those people because, again, we're estimating crowds. So how can you figure out how many people pass by you in a parade? Well, let's look at the example. If 35 people pass by you in a minute, and the parade is 15 minutes long, how many people would pass by you? Pretty simple. If 35 people walk by you for 15 minutes, just very simply 35 times 15, which when you do the math, you get 525 people. Very, very simple. Now, let's dive into a question that might be a little more challenging. Here we go. For the first 5 minutes, 100 people. So again, you're still on the sidewalk, you're still watching a parade. But now we have 3 parts of the parade. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Now each part, we got to mathematically figure some stuff out here. So it says that for the first 5 minutes, 100 people walk by you. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, for every minute, 100 people walk by me. So that would give me a total of 500 people. Okay, that's easy. Just 5 times 100. Now this is where for step 2, this is where things get a little tricky for students. And that is this rate decreases by 25%. Now, a lot of people are going to want to go to 500 because that's what they just calculated. No, that's the total. 100 is your rate. So when it says this rate, it refers to the 100. So off to the side, I'm just going to write some notes down. So I know that 100 will be decreasing by 25%. That's what I'm thinking to myself. But I got to ask, okay, what is 25% of 100? Well, that's easy. I'm going to say 100 times 0.25. That gives me 25. And then I'm going to subtract it from the original 100. So 100 minus 25, well, that's 75 people. That's my new rate. And so you finish out and then after you finish out, or you get the new rate, you finish out the section that says 75 people are walking by you for the next 5 minutes. So 75 times 5, let's see, that's 375 people. And then it says now for step 3, this rate decreases by 50%. Again, this rate, the new rate is 75, and it decreases by 50%. Well, decreasing by 50% is no more than dividing by 2. So off to the side, 75 divided by 2, that gives you 37.5 people, but I'm just going to round it to 38. Might as well keep it simple. So my new rate is 38. So 38 people are now walking by you every minute for the next 5 minutes. So 38 times 5, which gives you 190. So how many people walk by you? Well, 500 for the first section, 375 for the next section, 190. So 500 plus 375 plus 190. That gives me 1,065 people. That's how many people walk by me. All right, let's try another one. See if I can find it on this worksheet here. All right, so here we go. In fact, I'm going to, we'll do this one. All right, you are standing on a sidewalk and watching a parade pass by. Here are the observations. All right, so it says for the first 10 minutes, 80 people walk by you. All right, so that's pretty simple. I mean, first 10 minutes, 80 people. Well, 10 times 80, that's 800 people. Now remember that 80 is the rate. And it says this rate decreases by 25% for the next 5 minutes. Now remember, 80 is the rate. So off to the side, I'm thinking to myself, okay, 80 is going to be decreased by 25%. So I need to figure out first, what is 25% of 80? Let's see, that's 20. And I'm going to take my 20, since I'm decreasing it, and subtract it from there, which gives me 60. So 60 people a minute for the next 5 minutes. Well, that's 300 people. And then it says this rate decreases by 50%. Now, again, remember, my new rate is 60. So decreases by 50% is just no more than dividing it by 2. So that gives me 30. 30 for the next 5 minutes gives me 150 people. So when I do the math, I believe that's going to be 1,250 people have passed by me. All right. That's the estimating crowds. Hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.